My name is Vanita Lambert, and I am the host of this show. I have the honor of bringing on very special guests every single week to share important information with our community. And today I have on Miss Erica Rashad. She's with Sanfoca Counseling, and she has 25 years of human service experience. She's a Master of Social Work degree. She has a Doctorate Social Work degree at Southern University. And she has a passion for working with disenfranchised individuals suffering from urban PTSD. Absolutely. That is so important. We so need this information, Erica. I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And we also have Miss Vine Samuels with her LLC. She's also my other very special guest, and she's been here a few times before. And I hope she comes again, because you're welcome back. You're full of information. She wears so many hats. But today we're gonna, and she actually invited Erica. So thank you for bringing Erica on the show. I really do appreciate it. After, doing the show for I guess about 10 years, I'm running out of people to invite. So I always ask for referrals. Erica, thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So what I'd like you to do is just, reintroduce yourself and tell us. I'm deeply interested in this urban PTSD.
Okay, great.
But you could just take us through your journey, how you got started, what made you become so passionate about what you do? Was there an event in your life or something? So just tell us your story, Erica.
Okay, excellent. Well, my name is Erica Rashad, as you said. From New Haven, Connecticut, born and raised. I actually, to start at the beginning of my story, I didn't realize that I've always been a human service person. Apparently, my mom told me that my grandmother used to take me with her when she would put make a pot of beans, put it in mason jars, and go hand it out to homeless people. And she took me with her. I had no idea. I didn't even remember it. So apparently, this is kind of just in my blood.
Wow.
And living in New Haven, say like late 80s, early 90s, coming through the crack epidemic, I think really had me understand what can happen to a community. And I felt like I wanted to be part of the change, a part of something that would bring the community back to life, because it was a horrible time.
Yes, it was.
Those were horrible times. And so then that started my interest in human service. And I actually moved out of New Haven for like 14 years or so. I was in Massachusetts for a while, in Boston, and I lived in Atlanta very briefly, did not like it. But I always knew that. I said, if I ever go back home, I really want to do something to kind of help and support my community. And that's how I got into it. I started working with the emergency shelter as a job developer. Then I went to work for maternal and child health as I don't even know what the position, probably more like case management. And from there, I went to the state working as a substance abuse counselor in the prison system. Oh. And then during that time, that's when I started going back to school, trying to get degrees. And I also wound up starting my business in 2015. And so that was started out as drug and alcohol counseling. Then once I did the MSW, I went to mental health as well. And the DSW, I thought I wanted to teach. I'm not too sure, but that's where the doctorate came in.
Wow, what a really rewarding career you've had.
Thank you.
It's starting with the crack epidemic and wanting to just, help the community. It takes special people to do that, just like I think it takes special people to teach and to be a doctor. So, you share yourself, you share your family, because you're taking time away from your family to help the community. And it takes a community to to be successful. So I do appreciate that. And so did you work at Niantic? You said the prison system?
I did work at Niantic. I started in Bridgeport in the jail system. Then we were transferred. They took addiction services out of the prison, out of the jails, put us in the prison. So I did go to Niantic and work with the women, maybe like 2 or 3 years or so. Then I wound up in New Haven, where I ended my DOC career. And then I went over to DMIS, where I worked at the Connecticut Mental Health Center.
Excuse me, your what career? DOC? She has all these acronyms. I don't know what any of them
Okay.
mean, but you know, she has a very long title, so I'm
Yes.
just asking, DOC is what?
Department of Correction.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to DMIS, which is Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services.
Okay.
And so in that role, I worked at Connecticut Mental Health Center. And the team that I was on was like mostly psychotic disorders, because I really needed to like pad my mental health experience, and I needed to see it up close and personal. So I just wanted to be more well-rounded as a clinician.
Oh, and believe me, you are, oh my goodness. My experience with Niantic, and I don't know if you ever heard of this before. I was in high school, I believe, and I worked with actually the woman that taught me how to answer phones and, you know, be professional and everything. Her father owned the Greek's hot dog stand.
Okay.
Okay, so we worked for a nonprofit program called SERPS, Corporative Individualized, I forget all the names anyway. Anyway, it was rehabilitating women
Oh, nice.
from Niantic back into the system. These women had like you, same thing as you, drug addiction. I mean, not as you,
No,
but
no,
as
go ahead.
you
I know
worked.
what you mean. Yes, absolutely.
She's not a druggie, no. So, you know, they had drug addictions. They, you know, got in trouble with the law and they were in jail and they lost their families and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So I can tell you from a personal experience, it almost brings me to tears to help somebody like that. So I can only imagine how good you feel doing these things.
Good.
You know, to impact somebody's life like that is, it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, the
It
thing about
really
substance
is.
use, though, is when it's good, it's good. But the same amount of people that you help, people usually don't get sober the first time around anyway. And now with overdosing, it's like
Oh,
So
the
that's-
opioid addiction
there's
is
the good and the
crazy.
bad. Yeah. And that's, you know what? It's always been the opioid addiction. It's always been a crisis. That's what took our best. Ray Charles, Jimi
Michael
Hendrix.
Jackson, Prince.
Yeah, so it's not
Oh
like
my
it's new.
goodness.
It's just
Okay.
that now it's new for white people. In all honesty.
Exactly.
So now it's called the crisis, but it's always been there.
It-
It took some of our best.
I grew up in the
writers.
60s, honey. I
Absolutely.
do know. I
Absolutely.
saw the Panic Village.
So you know
okay.
that.
Oh, please,
This is
I
not
lived
new
it.
stuff. This
Oh,
is not
no,
new.
not for me. Not
Yeah.
at all. Not at all. Miss Vine, you're being kind of quiet over there.
Yes, I am. Well, I just wanted to highlight Erica because about a year and a half ago, I was talking to someone at the Connecticut Mental Health Foundation about workshops that her LLC does. And they recommended Erica to come in and work with our Mental Health Matters workshop that we had in May of 2024.
Yeah.
And it was a great success. We had quite a few women from the community. I don't know if you saw the reviews on the website, but it was wonderful. They really appreciated Erica sharing her personal story, which kind of brought them in because some of them had similar experiences.
It's relatable. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
stories
relatable.
are-
That's right.
Yeah.
And you know, and how she built up her business. And I actually went to her office, and I was so impressed with how
Thank you.
far she was into her business, which I didn't know even last year. I just didn't know that. So I appreciate Dr. Rashad. I'm going to call you.
I'm sorry, Dr. Erica.
Oh,
yes,
thank-
Rashad. I'm a
Be
first
informal.
name person.
Yeah, be informal.
It's
No,
okay,
you earned
but I
that
just
title.
want.
You're our
Thank you.
doctor. So.
But you know, it's important to recognize
It definitely
the
is.
professionalism, and
Definitely.
so. But I hope in the near future to have additional workshops with Dr. Rashad as well.
Okay. Invite me too. I do.
Oh yes, oh
Don't
definitely.
leave me out.
No, that's
Because I provide the insurance for all these
Well,
mental
that's a-
health, you know, through Medicare and life
Right.
insurance. So you do need insurance. You have to, you know, pay for it.
Do you do business insurance as well?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Group
great.
insurance, we do it all.
That's all we need to know.
But we'll talk about that
Yes,
later.
I'm sorry.
We'll talk about me later anyway.
Okay.
So, so Sanfoca Counseling.
Sankofa.
Sankofa? What did I say?
Sanfoca.
Okay.
That's okay.
It's
You
okay.
see it on the screen.
Yeah,
it's not a learning
word.
process.
Sankofa.
Yes. It's an African
Counseling.
word, so people
It's
don't
an
know.
African word? What does it mean?
It means go back and retrieve it or go back and get it.
Oh,
And so basically, there's a movie that came out in like the late 80s, early 90s called Sankofa. It's on Netflix right now. And I was so enthralled with this movie back then. I was like, oh, I love that, I love that. I knew I would use the name, I just didn't know how or when. And then when I started to practice, I said, there it is, perfect.
So, I'm just going to say, go back and get your counseling from Dr. Rashad.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your company. You know, I know it's counseling, but tell us one of the greatest experiences you've had with counseling a certain individual that you felt close to, like they were on the floor when you found them and now they've excelled to the sky, or just, you know, is there any, and no names of course, but just a situation.
I love all my clients.
I love situations. Me too. I love them
I love all my clients.
The Medicaid through millionaires. I love every one of them. I treat them all the same.
Absolutely.
Everything's the same.
But I will say my passion population is formerly incarcerated people.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
I love formerly incarcerated people who've done like maybe 20, 30 years or more.
Wow.
Because
sorry.
Getting back into society, as you said with the women, is so challenging for people to be able to get back. I've worked with people who couldn't even cross the street. When they went into prison, there were no bank machines, cell phones were not smart, you know, so it's getting acclimated to life again is really difficult when you've done that amount of time. And, you know, institutionalized, it's a real thing. So people don't realize, you want people just to come back in and jump back into their families. You see men and women who are 40, 50 years of age, but emotionally and mentally, how can you have an adult relationship and you've never really experienced it? So the expectations and the stress that these people are under is just incredible. So I love supporting folks coming home from incarceration.
Oh, wow.
Preferably long incarceration.
And, you know, we are all connected or know someone.
Absolutely.
Who has, you know, been incarcerated, whether it's a friend or family member. And so what people like this can do, even family members, because this is on YouTube, it's nationwide. If you have a family member or friends or anyone you want to refer that's suffering from, that's been incarcerated and suffering from the things that she just mentioned, like just rehabilitating, getting back into things that we take for granted.
Absolutely.
Every single day, like you said, crossing the street, which, you know, is a good analogy, cell phones, computers, you know, relationships, you know, how do you do that? It's like having a baby. That's awesome.
It is, and we're the only country in the world that still punishes people after they've served their time. So employment is a problem, housing is a problem. There's just so many barriers that folks who come out of incarceration face. And I think, like you said, we take it for granted that, oh, she just needs to get a job or he just needs to, you know, do whatever, and it's not that easy.
No, it isn't. It isn't. Things like that affect you long term. Like, you know, like, and I could take a situation that I had with discrimination, you know, and I lost my job, and I've been working since I was like 14.
Yeah.
You know, even I lied about my age, but anyway, I've been working since I was a teenager, and then I was like 60, I think, or it was 2010.
Okay.
And I was discriminated against. And, you know, my job was taken away from me, and I needed counseling at that time. So, and that was just for a period of, you know, maybe 6 months. I just went to the gym every morning and just cried, and, you know, and I had some other things going on in my life. So, you know, they say it happened in threes. So, and that was just a short period for me. So I could imagine just being incarcerated, you know, 20 years. And, you know, like you said, we take all these things for granted. Oh, they come out, just get them a job and, you know, they'll be okay. But I watch that movie Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
That movie really taught me a lot, because when, you know, they were lifetime, they were incarcerated for, you know, institutional lives for their whole lives. They went in as teenagers and they came out and they got their job at the grocery store. They had trouble bagging groceries and they were going too slow, and people were like, hurry up. And it's simple things like that. So I would just always say, be kind to people. You don't know their story. You don't know what they've been through. And especially, you know, someone that's been incarcerated. That is, and I didn't realize until I read your bio here that it was a form of PTSD.
Absolutely, and the majority of inmates have PTSD before they even get into the prison system. So trauma is very prevalent in people who are incarcerated, not to, and also the PTSD you might experience while incarcerated. So even if things don't happen to you directly, oftentimes you'll see things. And it's just not a way that human beings were meant to exist. You know, it's not a system that was developed to really rehabilitate. You know, it's really just punitive and stressful.
Oh, I
It's
can
stressful.
imagine.
Even on staff, it's stressful.
I can-
PTSD is prevalent.
Oh, wow, I could just
personally.
imagine. So what are all these other initials behind your name?
Oh. So
Like LICSW.
It's Massachusetts equivalent of LCSW. So
Oh, okay.
They have licensed independent clinical social workers, or in
Okay.
Connecticut it's just licensed clinical social workers.
Okay, that's rewarding work. I'll say it over and
It
over.
is.
God bless you for doing that kind of
Thank
work,
you.
and it takes special people, especially the community. And you know, we're already behind the gun. You know what I mean? So, and
So, Dr. Shad, I have a question. When a person is released from prison and they go back into their same community, is that a healthy environment for them to be in, or
It depends.
It depends.
It depends because everybody's different. Like people that are incarcerated are all races, all socioeconomic statuses. You have the big money folks in the federal prisons, but the state prisons house everyone. So everyone that's there is not necessarily coming from the hood or coming from a bad situation, but there are enough people who are going back to a bad situation. So with substance use, yes, going back to your same community, if you're not able to be steadfast in your desire to remain sober and clean, then yes, it could be a bad situation. Also with incarceration, a lot of times if you do come from like public housing, you're not allowed to live there anymore. So people are homeless,
Oh.
displaced, and
Okay.
your kids can't come home if you're in, public housing. But those laws were all designed to kind of,
to put you back in
Yeah,
prison.
yeah.
Prison is a business.
is.
Okay.
and the war on drugs is a war on poverty.
Yeah,
It's not a war on
absolutely.
drugs.
Prison, I realized a long time ago, prison is a business.
It is.
It's like a white label product. You
Absolutely.
know, and that became really apparent to me when you couldn't like send a T-shirt. You had to send money, and they had to buy your T-shirt.
Absolutely.
So that is just so tough. My goodness.
I
Wow.
know that Dr. Rashad wasn't able to come to the first part of the workshop last year. And that first part of the workshop was to talk about what makes black and brown children more susceptible to go into the prison system. And we called it preschool to prison pipeline. And we will be holding that workshop again this year, should we be funded. But can you talk about some of the issues that might lead teenagers into the prison system?
Sure. Well, you have people calling police on 5-year-olds now, in school systems. So there's definitely a school to prison pipeline. I think that sometimes when children have behavioral issues, it's easier to have them legally involved from the beginning. And I think people don't understand, especially like urban trauma, sometimes kids have to do things to even keep the money circulating through their own home. So sometimes people that sell drugs are doing so just to keep their younger siblings fed, or help their mom pay rent, or if the parent is addicted, and so there's no money, there's no food. So people sometimes do things that they are illegal, but nobody ever asks like, what happened to you, why are you doing this, or whatever, or how they can
Okay.
get help. So some kids get involved in crime out of necessity.
Yeah.
Some kids get involved in crime just out of right place, right time.
That's true. This is
It's
true.
definitely lots of ways that kids can get involved and wind up, and also children that are involved in the juvenile detention system usually wind up later on in life being involved in the adult system as well. Because once you're in it, you get one number and you keep that number for life.
Oh,
So it's almost like Motel 6, they keep the light on for you. They save that number for you, and anytime you go in, that's how they identify you with that same inmate number.
Yeah, it's desperation. It's survival. If you talk about the crack epidemic, we go back to the 60s and the 70s in Father Panic Village, where almost everybody was on welfare. So you ran out of food a week before you got the
Absolutely.
next check. So what are you gonna do? So you do what you had to do, and then you know what? we got a lot of the celebrities, like, famous people, like Jay-Z talk about dealing drugs and,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that's a lot of them. That's how they got started. They were in the hood. They didn't have food to eat. Well, I didn't have food to eat. And you did what you had to do to survive. And, and some of them made it out. And unfortunately, some of them didn't. Because if your parents aren't teaching you, or say your parents are addicted as well, the same situation just perpetuates generation after generation after generation. And so that's how they end up, well, that's how some of them end up in the system. I believe it starts at home. And even at home and or the community, even if you have, say you have a great mom and she's doing all that she can to teach you to, to be a good, honorable human being. But she can only afford to buy you the cheap sneakers, and then you go outside. Then there's that peer pressure. Everybody else got on Nikes, everybody got money or whatever, and they're doing things to get money. And it starts from so many different things.
It's true.
It really, really does.
I have to play devil's advocate too, because sometimes I think that I like that you mentioned, celebrities and music and things, because it's all by design. So even when you have kids who aren't impoverished or don't have parents who can't give them what they need, sometimes the music, the media encourages that behavior, and it kind of legitimizes black manhood, black masculinity. And so people are drawn to that even when they don't come from impoverished or, disenfranchised communities. And unfortunately, it's
sad.
It's by design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I give you a perfect example. My oldest son, like, I grew up in Father Panic Village in poverty and all that, but he did not. But he hung out with people that did, and he got in trouble at school. And, we live in West Haven, okay, right next to New Haven. So he went to High Leadership, as a matter of fact, which is no longer exists,
Right.
which was
That's cool.
a character school because he needed around-the-clock instruction. So he got in trouble. I think he threw up a gang sign or something like that. And the dean was like, well, aren't you from West Haven? And, the principal talking to him, why are you acting like this? He goes, yeah, but we live in the poorest section.
Because there's an attraction.
What is wrong with you?
Right. I have 3 sons and struggle with the same thing as the attraction to the lifestyle.
Yes, and all of his friends. And when he went to go spend a night with them, he was like packing food to bring because there wasn't any. And when he came to my house, it was just out on the table because I wanted them to grow up the way I did. Right now, I have enough food in my house to feed an army because I grew up with none.
Right, yes.
So it's that peer pressure. It's just so many different things that how they can get there. So what would you say to a parent that has a child that you see them going down the wrong way? Would you ask them to call you to get information, to get some counseling? Because sometimes you can see it happening, but you take a single mom with 2 or 3 kids working a full and a part-time job. She's not there.
Well, I can say as a married mom with 3 sons, my own child has gone wayward. So I can't, it's part of life, it's part of design, but also we have to have a way to understand where our responsibility ends and at what point young folks take their own, make their own decisions. And so I think for myself, as being a parent, some of it you find like a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
So I would definitely be able to support a parent who is going through, because there's not much I haven't been through myself. So, it's just a matter of understanding what you're responsible for and what you're not, and how far you can take it, because once a child reaches a certain age, there's only so much you can do.
Exactly. So what can you do before they reach that age?
Before they reach the age, most people will try like counseling, you try all kinds of things, and at the end of the day, it's an individual's decision, but parents have to be able to take responsibility, but there's only so much you can do. So you have to kind of know where your influence ends, and so for that, just support. And it takes a village. So just having other women or other single women or even men,
married
fathers and married couples, it's hard. Parenting is one of the hardest things you can do, and there's no handbook. And so if the child could use counseling, then definitely. Sometimes it's a cry for help, sometimes it's a choice, sometimes it's peer pressure, sometimes it's necessity. And that's why I say with urban trauma and urban living, there's so many things that could go right, but there's so many things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
And again, by design.
Yep. And the good news is, way back when my mother was raising 7 kids in the village, we did not have the information that you guys are privy to right now. You can pick up the phone, you can call Dr. Erica Rashad. I can't see her number from here, but
okay.
it's on the screen.
Yes.
You give her a call, and she can give you some answers or some information. And that's why I love this platform, because it gives me the opportunity to bring people like you on. And I want you to know all my guests are very special guests.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
And it gives people the information you need to help you with the problem. If you don't have the information, you cannot take advantage of the benefits.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. And that's the message here. You have the information, you see things going wrong, get help. And a lot of times you can get this help from your insurance. Now, I'm an insurance person, so you know we got to bring that in a little
Absolutely.
bit. On your card, you can see a specialist for, like, I'll say my insurance, $45, and you get an hour. I raised 2 sons.
Okay.
I brought them both to specialists. And you know what? Nobody has to know your business now. Everything is confidential.
Absolutely.
It's online. But I live in West Haven. I took them to Middletown, so nobody would see it. But we did do it, and that's what I recommend for everyone. We have 1 minute left. I'm going to give it to you to say whatever you like to the audience, and thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting me. I just like to say, you know, mental health is a serious issue in our community that we've left undealt with for so long. And now there's more clinicians of color, there's more accessibility, and with telehealth, there's no reason not to talk to someone. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. So it doesn't have to be my business, but please, if you're going through anything, please do get support and professional help.
Exactly. And it's Black History Month, so you might as well support all Black businesses.
True, true.
And you don't have to be Black to support Black businesses. We appreciate your support from everybody.
Absolutely.
Dr. Vine, any last words?
Yes, I just want to say I hope we all have a prosperous Black History Month, but let's extend it 24/7, 365.
And on that note, we're going to end our show. This is the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show, and we're on your side.